Hey guys, welcome to a new video, and today we're going to be going over our top 25 for this week in football. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Sitting at 25, we got North Texas out of the American. 8-1 with a big win over the weekend against Navy. Their offense looked really good, and I think that's worthy of a top 25 spot. They are definitely in playoff contention for the American. I think 25 is a very worthy spot for them. Could be higher, but I think 25 is just right for them. Freshly in. Still got a lot to prove. There's still definitely better teams in front of them that are, P5. But I think 25 is a great spot for them. They're 8-1. Now we're going to go to another 8-1 team out of the American whose loss this year is just awful. At UAB. This is Memphis. Sitting at 24 is Memphis, 8-1, who will most likely be the Group of 5 representative for the playoffs. I still don't understand how they lost to UAB, but 24 is where they're at. They would be higher if they were a perfect 9-0. This team beat Arkansas earlier in the season. They've had a good season. They just beat Rice over the week or on Halloween night. But yeah, 8-1, they lost to UAB. That's going to hold them back. They should be the Group of 5 representative though. Then in our 23 spot brings us to USC. They're sitting at 6-2 right now in the Big Ten, 6 in the Big Ten. They're not having a bad year so far. Their two losses are Illinois and Notre Dame. Notre Dame loss, not bad at all. Illinois loss, yeah. Illinois is not having a good year, but that was on the road. Kind of tough environment. They're 23, not bad for them. So far left on the schedule, they have Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, and UCLA. Could definitely go 9-3 or 10-2 with that schedule. They just had a great win over the weekend up at Nebraska. And yeah, they're having a great year. 22, Tennessee. They're at 6-3. Over the weekend, they lost to OU in a shootout of a game, kind of. Joey Aguilar, he threw for over 300 yards, almost 400, but he just threw some costly turnovers in the red zone. Tennessee gets overlooked every single year for being a amazing team, but in reality, they're just not. They're not what they should be. That's why they're 22. Very overrated, like normal. 21 is Oklahoma. I did not have them in my poll last week. I don't think they're that good, but they deserve it, with how they are. They're 7-2 right now, losses to Texas, and I forgot the other one. Who actually is their other loss? Yeah, Mateer broke his hand. He looks solid now. They have been having a kind of rough stretch. That Tennessee game, I did not expect them to win. Mateer did not look 100% in that game, but they still played great. They're so worthy of this rank at 21. Yeah, so their losses are Texas and Ole Miss. Forgot about that Ole Miss game last week. But big win over Tennessee. Playoff hopes are definitely still alive for the Sooners. 20 brings us to Washington, who is sitting at 6-2. And that's another team like USC. Their schedule remaining out is not that bad at all. They can definitely make some noise in the Big Ten. They can't sneak into the playoffs, but that Pac-12 bowl should be pretty nice for them. 19 is Louisville, sitting at 7-1 with a huge win over, who was that, Miami a few weeks back. Miller Moss is balling out. Start of the year off, so they struggled against James Madison, and everyone was overlooking it, just kind of being like, oh, Louisville's not going to be good, but James Madison, they're a great team out of the Sun Belt. They're going to win that conference. They're 7-1 now, and they just beat Miami on the road. And then over the weekend, they had a closer game, but they beat, I think it was Virginia Tech. Yeah, they beat Virginia Tech on the road, 28-16. Pretty dominant game, though, by them, from what I've heard. 18 brings us to Mizzou. Sitting at 6-2, losses Vanderbilt and Bama in games they should have won. They are one or two dumb decisions away from being 8-0 and on top of the SEC, but if only they would learn how to run the fucking ball, they'd be a lot higher. I think 18's kind of high for Missouri. Honestly, I could see them at 20. I think in the poll right now they're 19, so it's pretty similar to AP, but AP is garbage. Yeah, Missouri, such a disappointing year, kind of. I mean, they got A&M this week, Oklahoma, State, and then Arkansas. We'll see what happens. 18's a pretty good rank, though. 17 is Cincinnati at 7-2. No one saw Cincinnati coming out of anything this year. This is a great year for them. They just got thromped by Utah over the weekend out in Salt Lake. But Utah's a great team. Big 12 is a lot better talent-wise this year than, honestly, a lot of people think. ACC is the worst out of the P4. Big 12's Not terrible. Not terrible at all. Yeah, Cincinnati 17, pretty good rank for them. Vanderbilt 16th after falling out of my top 10. 7-2 losses to Alabama and Texas. They came back against Texas, missed the onside. They would have got that onside. I think they could have won that game, which is crazy to think about. Just a wild world we live in where Vanderbilt is 7-2 in play. Never seen that before. They could get their first ever 10-2 season ever, which they're still going to play Tennessee. That won't be easy, especially in Knoxville. But I think 16 is a good rank for them. They're a solid squad. 15th is Notre Dame sitting at 6-2, losses to Miami and A&M. That A&M loss, not bad at all. Miami, not bad. It's still on the road. Carson Beck was still playing good whenever they played. 6-2, 15th. Could they sneak into the playoff? I hope not. I don't think they're worthy of a playoff spot. They're still pretty good. 15th, not bad. That brings us to 14th, Utah, 7-2 out of the Big 12. Losses to Texas Tech and I believe Arizona State. They're having a good year, especially after all that Cam Rising drama. They're finally getting it to click. Oh, it's BYU and Texas Tech, so two solid teams, yeah. Two not bad losses at all. 14th is solid, especially over what they did to Cincinnati, who's still a good squad. They manhandled them, which I think is worthy. I don't see them making the playoff, unless if they could somehow make a way to the Big 12 title game and they win it, but they're not going to make it for going 10-2. A Big 12 team just should not make it at all. 13th is Texas. Beat Vanderbilt over the weekend. They're 7-2 right now. They haven't been bad. I mean, a little underwhelming. Arch has been, but Arch is playing better football. Ever since that OU game, Arch is playing a lot better football. A lot better brand. We'll see how they can do. They got a hard schedule remaining. I believe they're obviously Texas A&M. Then they have to play at Georgia, which that's not going to be easy at all. 8-4, 9-3. I don't see a playoff team there, but we'll have to see. And then 12 is Miami, sitting at 6-2. I've been seeing a lot of polls that has Miami lower, but I can't drop them too far. Their losses are SMU and Louisville, back-to-back weeks. Terrible losses. Carson Beck has just been playing like an absolute idiot in these two games. They're not going to make the playoff anymore. The two teams in front of them are going to be the conversation. Which brings us to 11th. Georgia Tech, sitting at 8-1, lost to NC State. Hayes King's been having a great year. The game last year against Georgia is what everyone remembers him as, I feel like, or is like his breaking in game. And ever since then, yeah, Georgia Tech has just been phenomenal. It's cool to see a program like that. NIL has just really benefited from it. 12th is a good spot. I hope they can make the playoffs. I'd rather see them in than Virginia. I'm not a big Virginia fan. I'd rather see Georgia Tech. But yeah, number 10 is Virginia. They're also 8-1. They're having a great year. Came out of nowhere. Beat Florida State on that miraculous play. Beat Louisville also this year in overtime, which is, looking back, that's a huge win for them. Struggled against Washington State. Struggled against, UNC should have beat them. But UNC decided to go for 2. But they're still 8-1 on the calendar. They're still 8-1 with their record. Everything is 8-1. It's a good year for them. They could make playoff. It's going to come down to obviously them or Georgia Tech, that will be an exciting ACC title game, to say the least. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Their only losses at NC State, which NC State beat Georgia Tech too, so call it even, I guess. Let's get into number 9. Number 9, 8-1, Texas Tech. Lost to Arizona State, who's a very confusing team, but that's regardless. Not bad. I don't know. I think two Big 12 teams will make the playoff, Texas Tech and BYU. Tech's just been having a bizarre year. They're great. Obviously, this BYU game this weekend will be phenomenal. It's going to be a great game. Winner of that will be head of the Big 12, but I think both teams will make it in unless if either team chokes, which BYU did choke last year, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, but number 9, Texas Tech. Now number 8, Ole Miss, who's sitting at 8-1. Their only loss is Georgia. They'll be a playoff team unless if Kiffin chokes, which is always possible. Last year against Florida, they still have to play Florida this year. They had a good win this weekend against South Carolina. I mean, Carolina's at a whole dumpster fire right now, but Ole Miss will definitely be a playoff team. That's why they're 8. Number 7 is Georgia, sitting at 7-1. Only losses to Daddy Alabama. Georgia, I don't think they'll win Natty. I wouldn't even consider them really in the SEC talk. I think that's really just going to be Texas A&M and Bama. Georgia's still having a good year, 7-1. They just need to break through again, figure out a way. They'll host a playoff game. They'll make a run. Number 6, this is going to be a little controversial. BYU. But BYU is 8-0. The record speaks for themselves. Teams they've beat, Utah, it speaks for themselves. I think 6 is a good mark. We'll see how they do against Texas Tech this week. Number 9, Texas Tech. Game's down in West Lubbock. I'd give the edge to Texas Tech, but BYU, they got a great defense down there. Last year, I thought they were going to make playoff, and then they choked against Kansas and a few other teams. Alamo Bowl, but I think this is the year that they'll make playoff. Number 5, Oregon, who is 7-1, only lost to Indiana. Oregon's just that team that's just there. They'll host a playoff game, but besides that, I don't see them doing anything. They'll lose to, Ohio State or Indiana again in the round of 8. Oregon 5. I would move them up higher, but they got to prove themselves. And the one game that they have, they lost to Indiana. But I'll get into Indiana later. Number 4, Alabama, who's 7-1. Ever since that Florida State game, Ty Simpson and DeBoer have looked phenomenal. They have looked next level. They look great. They're playing a damn good football right now. I think they might. They'll win the SEC. I think they might be better than A&M when the time comes. But they'll get a first 4 bye, I think. They're playing damn good football right now. I could see them winning it. I think there's only 3 teams. Really, I'd say Bama, A&M, and honestly Indiana. It's bold, I know, but I think those are the only 3 teams that couldn't win it. Everyone else, I don't think so. But number 3 is Texas A&M, 8-0. The records talk for those 2 teams of why one is higher. A&M's at Missouri this week. They still have Texas and I think Arkansas. No, not Arkansas. I don't remember who is in between Missouri and Texas, but 12-0. I think they'll go 12-0. If not, 11-1 loss to Texas. They'll pound Missouri this week. Number 3. But I think just like Bama, they're one of those teams that will definitely be playing football late January, possibly national champs. They're good. Mike Elo has done a phenomenal job there. First 2 seasons, playoff team already, phenomenal. Number 2, Ohio State, 8-0. They just have not played anyone that I'd consider to put them at number 1. Obviously, Indiana's number 1, but I just think Indiana is the better team in this scenario, in this field. That win against Oregon, I think, puts Indiana on top, and just how they've been beating everyone, running up the score. I mean, not running up the score, but just beating everyone pretty big. I think that's worthy of putting them at number 1 over Ohio State. Obviously, we'll see when the time comes in Indianapolis what happens. But as of now, Indiana's number 1. Yeah, let me know what you guys think on my top 25. Leave your guys' picks or just rankings. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, I think next video is going to be bowl game and then the week picks, and that's just going to be a little repeat. So yeah, we'll see you later.